Insurance has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while?
I just used it
to
as
help
fill,
reduce
that's
your
all.
monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually
it's a little hard to hear over that.
Need same
Yeah,
day.
it'll have to
will.
be.
At 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Walsh Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
This is WCCR FM, West Palm Beach, Real Radio 92.1, powered by the law offices of Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Been in an accident? Call 1-800-747.
What's up, fellas?
It's 1-800-747-3733. Navigating today's real estate market can be tricky. Want to buy or sell a house, finance or insure a house, or stuck with a house and don't know what to do? Florida Talk Real Estate has been your local one-stop real estate shop since 2012. Get the advice you need from your local real estate pros. Here are your hosts, Jim DePola and Johnny C. live on Real Radio.
Yeah, that's right. Saturday morning. Thank you for carving out some time, hopefully 2 hours with us on a Saturday, because we give you 2 hours of infotainment every single Saturday, whether you're on 92.1 or 101.7. Thank you for tuning in on the old terrestrial radio. Of course, if you have your free download, your iHeartRadio app, we are worldwide. And a good morning to everybody that joins us streaming on a Saturday right out the gates. We're on Facebook, Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook. You find us on YouTube as well. Florida Talk Real Estate LLC on YouTube. Again, streaming live on both. Thank you for being a part of the show. And if you'd like to be a bigger part of the show, you can actually call in, be interactive with your questions, comments, concerns in the world of real estate. We always have high-powered players joining us on a Saturday to handle all that and more. Go ahead and dial in, 877-927-6969. Jimothy, our producer extraordinaire, he'll line you up. You make that call. We'll take that call here on a Saturday. I'm your boy, Johnny C. Again, thank you for being with us. Let's say good morning to the team. Your starting lineup. We'll go off, if you're watching on Facebook, the upper right-hand corner there. That's my friend Mike Rao, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. Hello, Michael. How are you, my friend?
Good morning, Johnny C. I'm doing great this morning. Little rainy out my way this morning, but looks like the sun's out now, and I suppose it'll be one of those on and off days.
It did feel like that this morning. It had that like muggy feeling, and when I walked out, I was like, "Oh, that's why." I see rain everywhere. Yeah,
everything's wet.
Yeah, but you know what? With all the fireworks that are going to be going up here in the next couple of days, let's the rain's not a bad thing for sure.
Yeah, get everything ready, prepared for the what are they when it falls from the sky, right? You know
exactly.
What do they call it? The debris field.
Yeah, and usually that's from me blowing up my backyard or your backyard if you're lucky. For those that have been joining on Facebook through the Backyard BYOB, you're like, oh, I remember when you blew up your backyard. Yeah, so was my little girl. In fact, just the other night, she's like, can we not do that again this week, guys? Yeah, you sure can. Let's say good morning to Pete Walsh. Now, if you're out and about and making your way through Palm Beach County, you might see the trailer with the Superman logo. That is Pete Walsh Handyman Services. I hate saying Handyman Services because it kind of understates the capabilities of what Pete can do for you. But Pete Walsh joins us on a Saturday. Man, that's surprising to have you. I know how busy you are, my friend. Nice to see you.
Good morning, everybody. Happy 4th of July weekend. Happy to be here.
Oh, great to have you with us, my friend. And that's what very well said. Happy 4th of July weekend to you as well. And let's round it out on a Saturday morning. I've told you about this guy just about every Saturday for over a decade now. It's my guy, your guy. I call him Jimmy D. You call him Jim DePola, whatever you'd like. He'll answer to Jimmy D as well. He always runs a top producing Keller Williams team. And that team is the Florida Home Pros with Keller Williams Innovations. Jimmy D, how you be?
Hey, man. How are you doing? Happy July 4th, everybody. Thanks for working the weekend with me. I appreciate it. You know, we're the hardest working people in real estate business and contracting business, I guess, and show business. What the heck?
That might be
Right?
a stretch. That might be a stretch.
So anybody watching on Facebook or YouTube, no, we do not have Dan Bilzerian on the show today. That's what I thought when I saw the beard. I said, you're kind of looking like Dan Bilzerian. Am I pronouncing the guy's name right? I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that guy's name right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Look.
I don't know enough about that guy to know if you're pronouncing it right. It sounds
I don't know enough about I don't know much about that guy either, but he just bounced into my YouTube thing about talking about his story about how when he had a heart attack or something. I guess the guy's like a multi-millionaire, supposedly made his money through poker or his parents. Nobody knows the truth. And guy's been partying, I guess, for 20 years.
Could be both. He might have made his money with his parents' money through poker.
Yeah, maybe. You know, hey, whatever floats somebody's boat, right?
Okay.
But I'm so happy to have Pete here because last time he was on, people had a bunch of questions. We're going to talk about contracting. Pete is excellent at all kinds of repairs. He's worked with a bunch of our customers already just recently, and everybody's just given him stellar reviews. And you know, Johnny, think about this. On the 10 years we've been on this show, how many contractors have we had on the air?
This
Zero.
one, yeah,
Zero.
This one, it's Pete.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that. You know, I really care about our audience that tunes in every week, and we built the one-stop real estate shop here. So anytime I refer somebody out to Mike from the mortgage firm, or Ross Camaronets from Brightway Insurance, or Trident Title for any title needs, right? Even the law office of Paul A. Krasker, right? All of these people, I know when I turn over them when they have questions that they're going to get great customer service. They're going to get the truth, the honest truth, whether that is in their best interest or not, the company's best interest or not, and do the right thing for the homeowner and that's or the customer, and that's exactly what we're built on. And then after meeting Pete, I don't remember how Pete and I met the first time. I think it was that you were trying to sell your house and you were working with somebody else and you didn't have a very good experience. I don't want to beat up that realtor or anything, so I don't want to get into it, but I don't think you had a very good experience. I think you had heard about our show or something, Pete. Is that how?
Actually, it was a long time before that when you had your former partner. I forget his name. It's escaping me right now. Jim.
Wow, Rob?
Yes, that's when we met, when you were with Rob. So we go back quite a few years.
Wow, because Rob hasn't been with me since 2015. God bless Rob. I just saw him on Facebook. He just had a birthday recently, and he's traveling around the country. I think for 2 years now, he's been traveling around the country in a I almost said SUV, but I don't mean that, RV, and traveling all around. Last thing I saw, he was in Colorado a couple of days ago, and he couldn't thank everybody for his birthday because he had no internet access on his phone.
That's living the dream, man.
Yeah,
me and my wife have that for a retirement goal. That's fantastic. Good
that's what he's doing. He's having a great time, it looks like, on Facebook. So God bless him. But wow, I didn't know, Pete, that we went that far back. But this is why you're sitting with us today. And thank you so much for taking the time, because I know how busy you are even on the weekends. But when I went over to your house that you were selling at the time and I saw the construction on it, I was like, wow, this guy knows what he's doing. He did an excellent job. It was really on point. I like the fact that you're very direct like us. So these are the comments we've been getting with the customers that we've already turned Pete onto, if you will, and we're working with them. Shows up on time, doesn't overcharge, doesn't change his prices on your middle of the deal unless there's something that you change, right? Like as a customer to him, right. Or they find out, like you open up something in a wall and you find out the termites are holding up the joists because there's nothing left of them or something, of course, right? But not a lot, he doesn't, he's not change order crazy. He doesn't take crazy draws, and he finishes. I have gotten one complaint, though. I don't even know if I told Pete this. I had one complaint.
One of my customers.
one of my customers called me up. God bless them, and they were out of state and they were buying a home and they needed to rip out a bathroom because there was a disability. So somebody needed, it was a very serious situation. We needed a bathroom done fast. So I recommended Pete. They went ahead and hired Pete. They closed, but they closed out of state. So they were traveling down here after they closed. And I get a call the day or two after they got down here and they said, yeah, Jim, I have a little bit of a problem. Your contractor, that's the way it goes. Now, all of a sudden, I'm the contractor, right? My contractor, right?
You're guy,
responsible.
Your contractor, he's already there working on the place and everything, and he's broken out the wall, and I'm listening to this. I'm like, uh-huh. And then I didn't hear there wasn't a complaint other than they didn't know he was already there. Now, he knew the house was vacant, and he figured, I'm sure, it was probably the best time to go in there and do it. Plus, the person had a disability and needed to use the bathroom, so we had to get that done right away for them. But anyway, so when they were done, God bless them, I said, well, so you're calling me to tell me that a contractor showed up early, and it's going to be finishing early for you, and I said, if that's your big complaint, I'm pretty damn happy right now. And that's the way I kind of left it. And they agreed. But I just thought, so that's the complaint we got with Pete, is he shows up too early. Sorry about that, guys. If that's your complaint with the contractor, you got an awesome contractor, right?
Yeah, you're doing all right.
So
Jim, I was listening to the list of praise for Pete, and it's like, so he got the job done. He didn't overcharge us. And I'm thinking, like, in the mortgage world, it's almost like the bar is only so high, right? And you can get above that bar, like as a loan originator. Hey, we actually closed your loan, right? Like that means we did a great job. We actually closed at the end of the day. It's funny. Maybe that's the reason you haven't had another contractor on here, because getting somebody who does what they say and doesn't on time and just gets it done is a rare feature. Right?
I have to be honest with you. I did have one other contractor we used all the time, and I love that guy. His name was Dharma. Right? What an awesome name, Dharma. I think, Johnny, you might even know him. But
man, when you asked the question, I was like, I don't think we ever had Dharma on.
He wouldn't.
Yeah, Pete was like in our 10 years plus, our only contract capable guy on here. Yeah, somebody that we could say, if you got work to do, this is the one.
Yep,
I
and
really
Dharma.
Appreciate all the comments, guys. It's definitely an honor to be here again. We all, like you guys, we try to do the best we can on every job and do what we can do. So again, really appreciate being here.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm just so happy you're here today. So if you have any contractor questions, today's the day to call and ask for questions. And of course, you can always call us off air 24/7 at 888-973-7828. You don't have to memorize that number if you're driving around. Just go to Florida Talk Real Estate. Just Google it. We're everywhere. You'll find the 888 number over there, and we have a 24/7 service. Sorry, Johnny, did I just step on you?
No, not at all. But when you told me yesterday that Pete was going to be on, I was like, man, because I was reading these articles the last couple of days about our newest run through invasive species. I guess we've had them in the past, these African snails.
Oh, I have that on my list to talk about today.
And they're talking about like they eat stucco and stuff. I was like, oh my God, what the hell?
They eat stucco and paint. When I read that, you read the same article. I was like, wow, stucco and paint they eat.
Yeah, so we've eradicated them a couple times, but I'm thinking, man, if these things end up being a big problem, Pete's going to be the stucco dude before he knows it.
Wow, that's the first I'm hearing of this. How long have they been around?
Well, they've been around since the 1960s, but they've been eradicated a whole bunch of times. And
we've wiped them out a couple times,
Yeah, but these things are so bad that
it's big.
I think they only found 1,000 of them over the last 40 years, but they consider it an epidemic because there's 1,000 of them. That's way more.
From what I read, Jim, they can lay dormant underground, like they go into like this hibernation mode for like a year.
Yeah, they're like vampires. They're walking dead.
Yeah.
What's the name of them, Johnny?
African snails.
African
snails, and they grow like 8 inches tall. They're gigantic, right? They got gigantic shells.
Wow.
And,
so all I can imagine is stepping out into my pool and just seeing these like foot-long snails just devouring my stucco.
Wait,
like
we forgot to tell you. We forgot to tell you, if you touch them, we forgot to tell you the most important part. If you
the meningitis,
touch them,
right?
you get a rat influenza or something. What do they call it? They call it rat something influenza or something like that.
And meningitis.
Meningitis, you get meningitis, but through this rat thing.
Yeah.
Are they edible? I was thinking that could be a new
No.
food truck idea around.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, like the pufferfish.
Escargot, something like that.
Pufferfish, yeah. But yeah, I wanted to talk about the African snails later too. So let's just jump into some. It's Happy 4th of July. It's Independence Day. So just wanted. This is a big day to me. I really, I don't talk about. I really try to stay away from politics on this show. In fact, I've got compliments about that because I don't want to wreck anybody's day, because it doesn't matter what you or I believe, because you know what? 50% are going to agree with you, 50% are not. Why push away 50% of people? We have a lot more in common than not in common, right? So, this is a good time to remember that. I just wanted to go over one of my favorite memories about July 4th on this particular show. One year I tried to do this thing where I was trying to bring on charity groups and people that I liked and stuff, of things that they were doing or stuff, to come on the show and talk a little bit about it. This is before we had video. And one of the people I tried to bring on, one of my good friends works for the Jet Propulsion Laboratory out in California. But he had this guy that made this app that allowed you to fly a spaceship anywhere in the galaxy. And it was a pretty cool app. And you got to control it like almost like a game. And you could fly around any planet. You could learn all the information about the planets as you're flying around. What'd you say, Johnny?
I said not almost like a game. I mean, it basically.
Oh, I guess it is kind of. Well, you didn't.
You're not really flying a spaceship.
You weren't winning anything or anything. It wasn't like that kind of game.
Hold on, guys. Haven't you read or seen Ender's Game? I mean, they thought they were playing a game, but they were actually executing the war plan. I mean, sorry. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
If you haven't seen it, spoiler alert. Yeah. So you might have actually been sending a spaceship at to go through the galaxy, Jim. It had to be flying pretty fast.
Oh, actually, maybe it was the solar system. You might be right. It might have been just the solar system around just the planets, right? But what happened was, so I gave the guy the number, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory guy, right? The rocket scientist, right? So I give him the number and I tell him to call. And everybody else that day called the show. We had a pretty good show. I liked it a lot, and I thought it was pretty good, a lot of content. But the guy from the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which was my big guest that I thought was going to come, he didn't show up. And I'm like, why would this guy blow me off like that? So then I get I get off air and I see this nasty email for him saying that why would I pull a prank on him like this? And why would I
wrong
even
number?
do
Did
that?
he dial the wrong number and get the if you want hot man on man loving, press 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
He didn't dial 877. He dialed a different 927-6969. He dialed a different number that ended with 6969, and he did not like the results.
Yeah, it's happened over the years.
I'm sure that he was probably charged something for that phone call.
Well, if he followed the prompts, he sure did. Yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, he thought that I was pranking him. And he was like, why would you do this to me? I don't even understand. I don't know who you are. Why would you do that? So I sent him a message back and I'm saying, can you please check your phone and see if you dialed 877? And then he sent a message back. He goes, I'm so embarrassed. And I go, well, you're the rocket scientist. That's how I left off with him. I go, well, you're the rocket scientist.
And I have a follow-up question. Why did you save that number?
Yeah, exactly. So that was a funny story. But then I was thinking, like, let's look at some fun facts about July 4th, some fun trivia facts. And then Mike today said something, and I don't even think Mike got why I was saying what I was saying. So let's get into that.
You opened up, you said, hey, Mike, happy July 4th. And I looked at the calendar, I said, happy July 2nd. And you're like, oh, I was going to do that. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? I was just, being my normal kind of, anti-humor self, right? Like, it's not the 4th yet, Jim. It's only the 2nd. So what's up with July 2nd?
Well, now I'm having technological difficulties with my computer, and I can't open the trivia facts, and it's really bumming me out. So we're going to hold off on the trivia facts just for a second and see if that's a page problem.
It's probably what we used to call. I used to do tech support, right? So I was a database developer, and I started that job in customer service, just doing IT kind of, hotline. And when a problem like Jim's came up, we used to call that a picnic error. So it was PICNIC, which means problem in chair, not in computer.
Problem in chair what?
Problem in chair, not in computer.
Okay, so when Mike said I got some, that's pretty cool. Problem in chair, not in computer, right? Well, that's me all the time, no matter what. It took me 4 days to figure out Zelle, guys. I had to make a payment, and it took me literally 4 days to figure out a Zelle app. I'm pretty bad.
Just for comparison, Jim, it takes a 4-year-old with an iPhone about 2 minutes to.
I know, probably less than 2 minutes.
You're like, wait, send money electronically? Boom. Yeah, I got it. I
remember being on phone with the PNC person, and we're trying to figure it all out. And I'm like, if there was a 10-year-old here, they would already have it done already. You know what I mean? But well, I missed out on I had to change the article, so I don't have all the information. But this one has the same factoid I want to talk about now, so it must be true, right? When Mike said Happy July 2nd, if you really care about your forefathers who created the country, they're pretty mad that we're celebrating July 4th on July 4th. John Adams was one of the biggest guys that was upset because we actually everybody voted on the independence for independence contract for independence contract. I'm doing really good here. On July 2nd. And everybody didn't sign the Declaration of Independence until August 2nd. All the signatures, all 13 signatures were not signed till August 2nd. So there were a bunch of people that were very bummed out that July 4th is July 4th. They really felt like it should have been celebrated on July 2nd when they voted on the Declaration of Independence. So John Adams, was not a happy camper about that, right? He also predicted, though, he wrote a note to his wife at the time, the day that they signed the Declaration of Independence on July 2nd, and sent his wife a note saying what had just happened. And he had predicted that for centuries to come, that there would be fireworks and parades and celebrations about the day of Declaration of Independence. Isn't that pretty cool?
Nice.
Wow.
Call the shot.
Yeah,
that was the beginnings of our two-party system, right? You had the July 2nders and then the July 4th.
Yeah, the July 4thers, right? Yeah, exactly.
And then you got the August 2nders, and they're like the flat earthers today, right? You're like,
that's the third-party independence,
right?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm a libertarian. You're like, all right, good. Never vote, I guess.
President Zachary Taylor, he really didn't like July 4th. He ate some fruit during a July 4th party, and a couple of days later, he died from the July 4th fruit. So he ate bad fruit on July 4th, and he died in 1850, shortly after eating food. So he's not a big July 4th guy.
I'm trying to think what kind of bad fruit would actually kill you.
Yeah, I know, right?
Maybe back then it didn't take that much.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing I thought was very interesting. How many people did we have? What was the population? Now, I know, let's not get politically correct here, which we could, okay? So I know Mike's going to say, well, what about the American Indians and stuff like that? But I'm assuming this is the 13 colonies, but I'm not sure. But it said the population for us back then. What do you think the population was back then?
Well, can we start with what is it now? I don't even know what the
good
US
question. The most recent thing I saw, I always round it off to 330, but it's 331. 331 million.
Okay.
Which I'm surprised Mike didn't know. Mike's like Mr. Information Man. So that's why I thought when he said July 2nd.
I'll never forget it. Ask me in 20 years. I'll be
so how many people do you think were United States back in 1776?
17 million.
What do you think, Johnny?
Oh, I was gonna go way less than that. Now I feel like I'm questioning my angle.
I may be way off. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big ass number. I'm gonna go 1 million.
Okay, what do you think? What do you think, Pete?
I think even lower. That still seems a little high to me. I don't know. We're talking a long time ago, but I could be wrong.
So what do you think? Like 500,000?
2.7 million.
Wow.
Right, 2.7 million. So less than 1% of what we have today. Right.
Yeah, but what about all the Native Americans?
I knew you were gonna say that. So I thought that was kind of interesting about that, and there was a couple other things I thought.
And probably didn't count the slaves either.
No, I don't think they did unless they counted 3/5 or something.
Yeah, probably right. Yeah,
Right.
so
They might not have counted women and children either.
No, you know,
I think my number's right.
Yeah, you think your number's right, 17 million? Yeah, I don't think that there were like 10 slaves for every person, right? White person or whatever you want to say at the time.
Thank God.
Let's get off this subject. It's just sad to think about. A couple other things. Americans typically are going to eat 150 million hot dogs today.
Boom.
That's how many hot dogs are going to be eaten today. I thought that was kind of interesting.
150 million?
150 million hot dogs today.
Yeah,
and that's
when you posed it, I was like, "Am I supposed to eat 150 hot dogs today?"
And then a couple other things. Massachusetts was the first state to make July 4th a holiday, and they did that in 1781. So 1781 is when Massachusetts started celebrating July 4th. So I guess that means that Massachusetts is the one that John Adams is mad about. Because if that was the first state to celebrate it, and they picked July 4th, John Adams is mad at Massachusetts. So John Adams says to Massachusetts, "I hate you guys. Change the date."
As I was driving in today, I was looking around at the landscape, and I was like, "Man, this country doesn't look a year over 240 years old. I mean, it just doesn't."
When you check our airports and bridges, I would disagree with that compared to other people.
Gosh, we are still so young. When you think about when our birthday rolls around on Monday, still such a young country.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, it's really crazy how young we are and how much control we have, if you will, like with economic power. I'm not just talking military and political, but just everything. We're like a little tiny fraction of this world population, but there's the universe kind of evolves around the United States in some ways. Good, bad, or indifferent. It's just the way it is. So
absolutely.
But that doesn't mean it has to be like that. That doesn't mean it's just going to be that way forever if we don't handle it right. You know what I mean? How many other countries that were just as powerful or more powerful disappeared? So that's why this day is so important to me, is because what we have here is really special. And I know a lot of people are saying they want to move out of the country and stuff like that, or not happy with things. And I understand that, but we do have the ability to be flexible and change more so than other countries. So hopefully we can get back to the middle again and get people to start talking to each other on a positive basis to move forward on stuff, But I wanted to talk something about the state of Florida. I know Mike's laughing. Is like, that's
I'm
my
like,
little
wait a second. How deep are we going to go down
that's
this hole, Jim?
Well, now we're going to talk.
Let me throw in a light note.
We are going to talk. Go ahead, Mike.
Just for tomorrow, this is very important.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, July 3rd, is International Plastic Bag Free Day. So plastic bag free day. Yeah. So reusable bags is the name of the game tomorrow.
Reusable bags only. So I wanted to talk about a new law that went into effect July 1st, yesterday. We have changed our state dessert. Did everybody catch this on the news? Because it's
by law.
Big deal. By law, and I'm very upset too. So I am going to talk about these damn politicians. So what do you think our state dessert is? When you think of Florida and you think of dessert, what would you think of normally?
Key lime pie is the first thing I think of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that ain't it anymore.
Is that what it was?
Or them coconut patty things. Those are everywhere too.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, it's none of that stuff. So on July 1st, we officially became the strawberry shortcake state. So do you think of Florida? Do you think of strawberry shortcake? I don't.
No, I don't.
Compared to key lime.
No.
Yeah. Here's a couple interesting factoids about that. Key lime. The key lime pie only became the official dessert in 2006. I thought it was much earlier than that, right? So it's only been around, we've only been around 16 years with key lime pie being the official dessert. It switched over to strawberries, and then I read a bunch of stuff about the strawberry shortcake, and I'm like, okay, I can kind of get this. But I still don't think that people think of this compared to key lime pie. The reason why they changed it to strawberries is because of Plant City, where 75% of the winter strawberry market is cornered in Plant City. So 75% of all the winter strawberries that are distributed in the United States come from Plant City, Florida, right? And in order to be an official Florida strawberry shortcake, you have to have Florida strawberries with whipped cream made from Florida dairy. And Florida dairy is a very big deal too. When I used to be a newspaper reporter back in the 80s and 90s mostly, dairy and cattle was like the number 3 or number 4 biggest economic producer in the state. Cattle and dairy. Think about that. You think of Texas for cattle.
Well, the ag industry is still huge
it's still huge down here.
Yeah.
So it's usually tourism, construction, and then it's usually agriculture is the third one. So anyway, so now it's a strawberry shortcake. I totally disagree. I think it should be the key lime pie. But you know what? The state makes way more money in Plant City with the strawberries and the agricultural dairy stuff than they do from the key lime pie grower, or the key lime growers down here.
Well, my cynical mind definitely, when you said strawberries, I was like, all right, so who's juiced in with the strawberries? Why are we pushing strawberries on everybody? Well, there it is. There it is.
Yeah. It's the Florida Strawberry Growers Association.
Exactly.
The old
lobby,
FSBA. Yes.
They were stronger than the Key Lime Association. That's the problem.
Totally.
But some of the people were arguing that the Key Lime is really just a Key West thing or a Keys thing, and that's why it shouldn't be considered. But I'm like, okay, if that's the way you feel like it's a regional thing, which I don't agree with. I just don't think people think of strawberry shortcake in Florida. I don't even think
yet.
Yeah, oh, well, that's true. That's true. It could always change. You're right, Mike.
It's actually if I didn't know that. I'm thinking like our strawberries even grown in Florida, so it's actually probably a good move on their part. If 75% of strawberries that are in grocery stores in the wintertime come from Florida, seems like something that would be good to know about national. So
so there's a good point to that maybe. But I still would, if I'm sitting at a restaurant and I have a choice between strawberry shortcake or key lime pie, I'm taking the key lime pie every single time.
Probably.
Well, almost every single time. Once in a while, maybe I'll do the strawberry shortcake.
That's a good point, Jim. When you go out to eat and you go to a restaurant, I don't know about you guys, but when I go out to eat and my family, dessert's a big deal. I got a 17-year-old daughter that has to have dessert. And while you were talking about this, I was thinking about that. How many restaurants actually have strawberry shortcake?
Right, exactly.
I can't think of any currently. And again, right now, I'm sure that's going to change. But
yeah,
I'm a little impartial because my daughter, who's 15, she makes not a strawberry shortcake, but a strawberry cake that has all the elements of the strawberry shortcake. Right, it's got a nice crumb cake,
fluffy.
Right, and it's got the fluffy white filling and strawberries, and it's like that's become the birthday go-to. Like, what kind of cake you want? She'll bake you that cake, and so I love it. But you're right, Pete. I haven't seen that in restaurants. I don't think I've ever seen a strawberry shortcake on a restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. So there's the controversy thing that I'm willing to go to the mat for. Okay, I won't do the red blue stuff. You're not going to get me to go there, but I will go to the mat. Key lime versus strawberry shortcake. Key lime every single time. I think we should succeed. Just like I think it should become the concrete public. That should be the final straw.
My Tiffany loves a good key lime pie, so she would be on that side of it. And I don't hate key lime either. I like key lime pie, but strawberries, I'm down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna be hard to push people into it, especially when it's a good strawberry shortcake. You know, if it's okay, you'll pass on it. But if it's a good one, you're like, yeah, let's hang our hat on this. Go Florida.
The problem I have with the strawberry shortcake for Florida is that the cake part. Okay, we got the Florida, got the strawberries, got the whipped cream, got it. But the cake part, they had to make that more Florida somehow.
Florida water.
Yeah, from the Silver Springs,
from the well.
Hockey. Yep. Hey, let's go ahead and take a break. On the flip side, we're going to talk about interest rates just for a little bit. And there's news there, but at least we have a little light, a little silver lining this week. It isn't so doom and gloom. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Of course, we're going to get into home renovations. I wanted to go over some tips of hiring a contractor, but also some renovation trends. And I also want to talk to Pete about what's really happening with supply chain, about really trying to get the supplies you need to do the work to get done. Because, we read about it in the paper, but what is it like in the real world when you're trying to order stuff to get a job done, like what you expect? I hear if you want impact sliding glass doors, forget about it. Nobody has those anymore. So we're going to talk about that and a whole bunch more on the flip side.
Oh, Johnny, can't hear you, buddy.
Yep. You're up.
Is that better?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Good opportunity for you if you're, hesitant to pick up a phone, try to talk to a professional. You're a little sheepish because you're like, well, I'm probably not going to hire him right now. Well, you don't have to hire Pete right now. He's on the radio. You have access to him. 877-927-6969. You'll do the hiring after the conversations. Of course, Mike Rauch, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. And of course, with Jim DePola with us. He runs a top producing Keller Williams team. So we got the team assembled to handle your questions, your comments, concerns. Don't be shy. Jimothy will line you up at 877-927-6969. Of course, if you're not comfortable on air, I totally understand. I'm not there myself. Go to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. It's your one-stop real estate shop. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, where you have access to the entire team. Pros are experts in their field, and you can get them all. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Also remember, Facebook and YouTube, two great hubs for lots of information and your access point for Florida Talk Real Estate. 4 minutes from now, we're back at it. That's right. 1, 2, 3, like July 4th. 4 minutes from now, we're back at it with much more infotainment for you on a Saturday right here on Real Radio.
We'll be your friend. Follow us at Real Radio 92.1 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
From the Gordon and Partners Weather Center. If you or a loved one
the mute
no
and the
fault of
camera
your own,
buttons.
call 561-333-3333 or go to fortheinjured.com.
Happy Saturday, everyone, on this holiday weekend.
And mute.
Storm Track meteorologist Zach Kobe. A hot one today with high temperatures near 90 degrees, feeling even hotter with the humidity. The East Coast sea breeze expected to develop throughout the afternoon hours, but quickly working their way towards the lake region by late this afternoon.
This report is sponsored by Audible. This summer, fire up your imagination with Audible. Listen to comedies, thrillers, mysteries, and more. It's everything you want in audio entertainment, all in the Audible app. Sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
This is Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7. Real talk for the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
That's it. Toll free, 877-927-6969. If you dial it, our producer extraordinaire, Jimothy, will answer that line. He'll get you going. We'll get you on the air with your questions, comments, concerns in the world of real estate. Johnny C., that's me. Good morning, Mike Rao, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. How are you?
Yep. Good morning. Happy Independence Day weekend. Happy 4th to everybody.
Same to you, my friend. And Pete Walsh is joining us on this Saturday. That's a wonderful opportunity for you to join in and talk with a contractor. Pete Walsh Handyman Services is that trailer you'll see with the Superman driving all around the county. That's the very busy Pete Walsh with us on a Saturday. How are you, buddy?
Great. Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Fantastic. Great to have you with us. And Jimmy D's here, too. That's Jim DePola with the Florida Home Pros team. That's a top-producing Keller Williams team. You'll find them with Keller Williams Innovations. Jimmy D, how you be?
I'm doing great. Happy South Florida, everybody, and happy 4th of July. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you don't get too wet. I'm in Boynton Beach right now out of my offices here in Keller Williams Innovations, and it's pretty cloudy. Mike says it's raining near him. When I was driving down here, it looked pretty clear, so I think it's more west and south than east and north, but we'll see how it goes for the rest of the weekend. I don't think it's supposed to rain that much this weekend.
Oh, it's like 50%, so, it may or may not.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Welcome to Florida.
Let's roll right into let's just roll right into the market a little bit just to get some of the stuff out of the way. Just, the real estate market is news now. A few months ago, actually longer than a few months ago, for quite a while, we weren't really talking about interest rates or anything, or there wasn't really real news. Everything was just kind of clicking along at the same motion, same pace. But then we had, of course, the dramatic price increases, rate increases over the since January in 2022. We've seen the market shift a little bit on what people are doing about buying and selling. We've seen the homeowners insurance prices skyrocket.
Everyone's been choking on insurance situation, Jim.
Yeah, and that's a universal. Whether you want to buy or sell, it doesn't matter. If you own something, you're dealing with it. Oh, I didn't get that, Mike. I didn't get that right away. Sorry.
Had trouble getting it
That's
out.
pretty funny. And that was a good one.
Insurance.
That's why I stopped. It's like, oh, good one. I like that. I'm sorry to catch it right away. That was a good one. So, with the homeowners insurance and everything going crazy, I think we lost 8 or 9 companies. I didn't think we lost more than 3, Ross said, and since like 10 years ago. And that's really putting a pound on everybody. So we have a little bit of a break here. Mortgage rates went up pretty dramatically last week, Mike, right? We went up to 5.81 for a 30-year mortgage according to Freddie Mac, but today it's 5.7. So if you look at the chart, it's kind of flat over the last 2 to 3 weeks, roughly. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say there was a kind of, I hate saying like big jumps, right? But there was a pretty sharp increase 2 weeks ago, and then it held steady for a week, and then it came down. That's on Freddie's report. And then
yeah.
Based
on June 9th, we were 5.23, and then a week later we were at 5.78. That was pretty dramatic. And now we've been kind of flat since then. We went from 5.78 to 5.81. Now we're at 5.7.
Yeah, and we actually dropped a little bit. So Freddie's report goes from Thursday to Thursday, and then there was a drop basically Thursday to Friday yesterday. And so if that drop holds, and these are very slight movements, but it was a downward movement. So if that holds for this coming week, you'll see another slight downward movement on the Freddie report.
Yeah.
It's still high. We're still, 2.75% higher than we were, 6 months ago. But so almost 3 points higher than we were 6 months ago as far as that rate, that report goes. But it's.
Yeah, but it is what I feel like, and we talked about this in 2019, right before COVID. Because in 2019, the Fed had been raising the rates, right? The Fed reserve rate. And we got up to 4.94, and we were seeing a slowdown in the amount of sales at that point. This is in 2018. And I was saying in 2018, 2019, I didn't think that we'd ever see
come back down
anything below a 4. I said the 4 is the floor. That was, I would say in 2019, 4 is the floor. So get used to it. Well, I'm not going to say that this time, but I think it's more likely now true than before. Well, it would have that prognostication from the Swami would have held if it wasn't for COVID. If COVID didn't come, that 4 is the floor would have been true. But then when COVID happened, all bets were off. But so you have to keep that in mind. But 5.78. We're back into kind of normal interest rate territory that's been traditional before all this craziness. So people are going to have to get used to and adjusted to these prices. I'm seeing a lot of people right now. I've talked to a lot of people in the past week have just decided to, quote, hold off on either buying or selling right now. I don't really think that's the smart move. And the reason, unless you don't care that you get caught by a wild swing. So what I mean by that is right now it looks like you're going to get the most you're going to be able to get for your property when you sell. In most cases, I'm making some broad generalizations. As we know, every house isn't just neighborhood by neighborhood right now. It's house by house for real.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm in neighborhoods where I'm looking in the same exact neighborhood in a gated planned community. So the houses are very similar to each other. It's just size and location and condition is what separates it, because it's in the, location in the neighborhood, the size of the house and the condition of the house. Right. And what we're finding out is that if you price the house wrong, if you're 5% off of what people think it's worth, you're not getting any action right now. I'm living in a rental property that's on the market to be sold right now. And
Are you listing it?
I'm not listing it because the landlord's great, and he's had an agent that he's worked with 12 years who really knows that area and everything. And I did try to get the business when I first met him, I'll be honest with you, but he said he was very loyal to his agent, and I'm respectful of that, and she's a good agent. But I told him what I thought the house could sell, or the condo could sell for, about 7 months ago. He didn't do it, and he thought I was wrong. Now he put it on the market for slightly more than what I told him 7 months ago. And when we initially put it on the market, he had 3 showings the next day, right? So we had 3 showings that day or at the place. We haven't had a showing since. And that was, they put the house on the market on Tuesday. They put the house on the market on Monday. The showings were Wednesday. They haven't had a showing request since. That's very unusual. That's not what has been happening over the last couple of years. This market is changing. So while the mortgage rates are kind of flattening out a little bit for right now, they're taking a breather, which is awesome. I think, that's really, really good. I think it's really important to point out that I went back and looked at the monthly reports stats that we looked at last week, and I looked at it a little more carefully. It's pretty clear that we're down, and I'm averaging this out for all 6 counties we cover. So when I'm talking about this, I'm actually looking at statistics we're a little different than most of the agencies around here. I'm looking at Indian River County, St. Lucie County, Martin County, Palm Beach County, Broward County, Dade County. Right? Did I skip anything? I felt like I skipped one. No, I got them all. Okay. So
Monroe?
No, I don't do Monroe. I don't do Monroe. I have agents that I work with in Monroe, but I don't do the stats every month. When I talk about it on the air, I cover these 6 counties. What we're seeing over those 6 counties right now is we're seeing on average for the year about a 20% drop in sales compared to the years past. But when I looked at the sales averages prices, we had a very, very bad January and February this year for amount of sales. It was very low. And then it jumped up to more normal rates back in March. And March, April, May, it's on a downward trend each March. The last 3 months, we've sold less houses than the months before. But we're still within the average for the last 3.5 years. We're kind of like in the average right now. So we're not super strong, but we seem to be going on a little bit of kind of like the mortgage rates. We're kind of flattening out a little bit on the sales, but prices continue to go up. So we'll see how this goes. I look at this right now is that when you're looking at, if we're thinking of this, a stock market chart of the real estate market and the interest rate market right now, I feel like we're in choppy waters, and we might go up a little bit and then down a little bit right away, and then up a little bit and down a little bit, because we're trying to find out what our level is right now. That's what I feel like the market we're in right now. People are getting just used to the higher interest rates. People are also thinking, if I don't sell now, maybe I'm not going to get everything I need. I can get for the house. That's almost absolutely true universally almost right now. And if you're really worried about what you're going to sell your house for, really now is the time to do it, because I'm already seeing a decline in interest on properties. We're seeing that very strongly right now. So you can't just put your house on the market and expect that you're just going to have a stream of people come in and you could do whatever you want. It's not like that, Mark.
Jim, I was going to say, did you ever either strategically or just because that's the way it went, move away from your 21-day marketing plan, and now are you back to kind of going through all those steps, or has that, you know what I mean? Like, are you back to that's what it takes to get the home sold?
No. We hold on one second. Speaking of that, because I know Scott has an open house today. Thank you, Mike. I'm sorry. I'm thinking out loud here. Okay, Scott hasn't called in, so I'll tell about the open house in a second. But we still do the same stuff we've always done. And here's the little secret about us. This is kind of interesting, because we were talking about, we had a mastermind in our office. The top agents get together once a month for a lunch and we all talk about what's happening in the market and how we can help each other.
It's not just age related.
No, it's not age related.
Not
Yeah,
a
if
master's
it
meeting?
was, I'd be the only one there. So, so one of the things that we talked about was how way back in the day, Pete, when Rob was with the team and everything, we were like short sale experts, right? So we were able to negotiate with the banks to get these deals done. And our success rate, partly thanks to short sale innovations in the law office of Paola Krasker, and Trident Title. It wasn't just us, it was teamwork together. But we had something like a 90%, close to a 90% close rate when the national average was 60%. Right. So we were, if you signed with us, you were getting a deal from a bank that was acceptable to you because nobody was forced to close on anything. We had a document that said, if you don't like the terms the bank's given you, you don't have to do it. And you have no obligation to us. So we stood behind our product. So the thing is, even back then, we started learning how to do our 21-day plan. And our houses back then in Port St. Lucie, there were some neighborhoods in Port St. Lucie had 6-year inventory, months inventory. Right now it has about a month of inventory. Okay. We were still selling our houses when other people couldn't sell the houses. Right. It's because of our marketing plan. And I haven't budged from that marketing plan. So even though the days on market and the rest of the market has gone down, over time for days on market, our numbers are still usually proportionally shorter than what the average days on market. So when things were 70 days on market, we were selling our, 3/4 of our houses in 21 days, right? When it became 35 days on market, we might have gone to 17, 14 days, right? So we always seem to sell a little faster, and there's a reason for that. Pricing the house correctly to get the most traffic in, whether it's a strong market or weak market, and marketing the property properly. Proper photos, proper videos, putting that stuff in the right place, reaching out to other agents that are searching for properties just like yours, right? Calling the neighborhood, what we call neighborhood prospecting. We tell the neighbors that your house is for sale because, probably 5% of the time, maybe a little bit more than that, we'll find the buyer from a neighbor. And that's only 5% of the time, but if that gives you a 5% edge there, right? And then you reach out to all the agents that are looking for properties just like yours, and you reach out to them, make a personal phone call, right? Let's say that gives you another 2% chance, right? And then you put this, we do videos. Most people don't do videos. That gives you another, let's say, 1% chance of getting your buyer. You start adding it up, and the next thing you know, we're like 10%, 12% odds-wise more likely to get the job done than other agents that don't do the stuff we do. So that's how I kind of look at it.
Yeah, and all while maximizing the sale for the seller. It's not, you're not just listening to make sure the thing gets off the market. It's about doing things right by the customer. So you're trying to get the most for them, all while still meeting that kind of standard that you've established over the years.
And we're in a very tough market right now. It's a very, very tricky market when you're putting your house on the market right now. It's very tricky. And the reason why it's tricky is the market is changing so fast. So I met a bunch of people this week, but one of the people I met with, really, really great person, big fan of the show, but they're still thinking the market is super strong. So and I'm not beating anybody up. These are just perceptions people have, right? So this person thought they were going to be able to put their house on the market for a price that was so super high compared to anything that's sold in the neighborhood ever. Okay. Because what the other houses sold for, he felt his house was superior. So it's like, well, and they were getting top dollar. So if they were getting top dollar, he felt, well, I could get this. And the thing is, there's no appraisal justification for it. So the only person that would pay that money would be cash. And then a cash person probably isn't going to pay 30% more than everybody else is paying in that neighborhood. Why would they? Right? Why would you pay 30% more if you're a cash buyer?
Right.
But I've had other people say that they don't want to show the property much. I don't want to have a lot of people come to my house. Can we restrict the showings? I had other people say they don't want to touch the house. They want to sell the house as it is, the way it looks like right now. They don't want to do any staging at all. let me tell you something, guys. Staging is so important. I always say to people, it's national studies have shown 3% difference. I'm holding up my fingers. 3% difference in the price you can get by just cleaning your house and decluttering it. I'm not talking about bringing a furniture company in and staging it that way. I'm just talking about decluttering and cleaning. 3% more. If you have a $500,000 house, that's $15,000. So I always tell people when they're working on the weekends and cleaning their house, because I give them a punch out list. I always say there's a whole bunch of people this weekend cursing me out under their breath. Pete, I made you do a little bit of that, a little bit, right? You keep a pretty sharp house, but I had you declutter, not much because you're a minimalist, I call it, but I had you do that punch out list, and I always joke, yeah, they're cursing me out right now. They're doing all this work, so I tell them, look, while you're cursing me out, go ahead and curse me out. I don't care, but just think this: getting $15,000 for doing this. Right?
Yeah, exactly that. We get out what we put in. If we got to put in a little more effort, like you said earlier about someone wanting to limit their showings. Well, do you want to limit your offers? I mean, less showings. It doesn't make any sense,
And Pete, back when you sold your house with us, that was a very strong market, right?
Yeah.
So
yes.
we had a lot of showings, right? I'm going back. So if I'm wrong, tell me the truth, because I'm doing this off of memory. But I thought we had a lot of showings, and we had multiple offers, right? You had multiple offers, right?
Yeah. It all happened very quickly.
Yes. I think under a week. I think it happened in 4 or 5 days. I'd have to go back and look. But the thing is,
But let's also highlight that Pete had a pretty sweet spot.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. The backyard alone was like you're like, this is it. Yeah. We're all gonna get in a bidding war. It was very desirable. Let's put it that way.
100%. But
I missed that.
and the thing is that we priced it aggressively in real estate. Just so you know, guys, when real estate agents say they want to price your house aggressively, just this is a little tip for you. What they mean is price it lower. Okay, most people, when you hear aggressive, you want to price it higher. So, but we price Pete's house on the higher end. And I was actually a little worried about the appraisal because we picked a price that the only other house that sold, or 2 other houses that sold for that price, were on the water, and we weren't on the water. And I was very nervous about that. But Pete's house was so on point, as Johnny said. The buyer was really, really happy to buy the house, and it was a good value.
Really desirable neighborhood for sure, but Pete's house kind of stood out in the neighborhood. Like it was way more improved than many in a lot of aspects. So.
It was, but you couldn't tell from the front of the house. From the front of the house, his house is nicely manicured and everything. Sorry, Pete, we're talking about your old house here, but the house from the outside, you couldn't tell. And it's when you opened up the front door, that's when you went, wow, right? And then when you looked at the backyard, it was like, wow, right?
Right.
So. But for the front of the house, it was a really nice house from the front, but it looked like a lot of the other houses, and you didn't get the wow factor to the inside. But we were able to price it higher because of that market. If Pete were to put that house on the market today, I would be looking at those higher prices. See, they were on the canal or on the water, and I might tell him not to price it at the price I told him this time, because I want to get action on the house. I don't want it to sit there where we only have one offer and then we're negotiating mano a mano. I like it where it's like, hey, I've got multiple offers on the table. And when I'm the listing agent, hey, I got multiple offers on the table. Your offer isn't the highest with the best terms. What can you do to make it sweeter?
Right.
And see what the walkaway people, what the walkaway numbers are for people. But if you can't do that, if you put it at too high of a price, and I'm telling you, there's going to be such next month. I'm doing a Swami thing. Okay, I'm going to do another Swami thing.
Out, Johnny.
Right here it comes. Days on market's going to be up next month for sure, and I really believe that inventory is going to be up. Days on market's going to be longer, and inventory's coming up. I'm not telling you prices are going to go down, but I wouldn't be surprised. Medium sales price going down. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, but I thought that would happen maybe last month, and we went from 601 to 615 in Palm Beach County, so I was wrong. But the inventory did increase, but the days on market stayed exactly flat.
Well, I guess it depends on how much they increase, but I mean, for me as a layman, now granted, a layman that's been on this show every Saturday for over 10 years, so I listen to the pros a lot. To me, it feels like if that caboose is price, and at the front of that train is days on market and inventory, if those are both going up, and I mean considerably, like not just little incremental pops as I think you're suggesting. I think you're just saying we'll see them go up. But if we see them like considerably, like making serious gains, I think that caboose being the prices, I think it just inherently has to go.
It has to. I agree with you, Johnny, 100%. I still don't agree with the national economists that they think that the demand is so strong that even though that the interest rates are going up, that it really isn't going to affect prices. Because the theory is this. In 2021, if you put your property on the market, I'm making things up, but you had 10 buyers for the property. You don't need 10 buyers. You only need one, right? So you have all these extra properties, right? All these extra buyers. So if the interest rates go up 2-3 points and there's only 3 buyers for every property, you're still going to have price appreciation because there's still a bidding war. It isn't like when we started the show in 2012 where you had 30 properties for every buyer.
Right.
Okay. That's the way it used to be when we started the show. Like, and 30 properties for everybody is probably way too low. Okay. But it was like that instead of one house, 3 buyers.
Well, hell, even when we closed on my house 8 years ago in September, we stood in the driveway of the home we ended up buying, making offers on other homes. And then they kind of got all like, well, we have multiple offers. And we're like, all right, stick it. We'll make an offer on this one instead. And then we got a great deal. And meanwhile, the ones that had the multiple offers sat and rotted for months longer because their realtors weren't strong. They weren't good at negotiating. They just went, we have a bunch of offers. You got to come in stronger. We gave them, through your guidance, Jim, really strong offers. And we just kind of went, all right, well, on to the next one then.
I remember one of them, Johnny. We put in an offer, and then you followed it because it was in your neighborhood, and the house ended up dropping the price, and then it finally sold. This was in a pretty strong market, right?
Yep.
Then the property sold, and I think it sold for what I said, what we originally turned the offer in on when they said, oh, no, we're not going to take that offer.
It's exactly right. It went for I think it was $5,000 less than what we offered, and they had all the carry costs to carry the thing for like 6 more months.
So you really got to know the market, and you got to trust the agent. And if you think that the agent, if you don't see eye to eye with the agent, and you're just doing an emotional thing, you could really, really be hurting yourself because there's a lot of agents out there right now. I just found out from that mastermind meeting. There's 50,000 agents in South Florida.
Well,
50,000 of them.
Bigger. Wasn't
not
it like
Keller Williams
7,000 or something? Like
Keller Williams is like 6,000 or 8,000 of that 50,000, right? Huh. But can you imagine 50,000 agents? And as the coach that was in the mastermind meeting said, and there's only 2,000 of them who know what they're doing, right? You got 50,000 agents out there. So I think Pete had that experience before he worked with me. And I know that you know a lot of really good realtors and everything, but I think Pete could tell you, because I help Pete with a couple of transactions now, that I always do what I say. And the other thing is that I'm real. I don't blow smoke up your butt, and I tell you what the downside is too. And so that way, if the downside comes, we have a plan and they're not freaked out. Pete, you're on mute. You're on mute, Pete. Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, Jim. You came in, you told me exactly what to expect. Everything that you said happened. And 100% very happy with the whole process. And I've also used a few other members of the team, like Mike. He helped me out with the sale of the house and also the purchase of the new house. And, you know, this program is guys, anyone listening out there, everyone here can really help you out. Definitely experienced with that.
And just for the record, I'm not paying him to say that. Thank you, Pete. So the thing is, the here's a couple of things to keep an eye out on. If you're thinking of buying or selling and you're not sure, we're the people to talk to, because we're going to tell you the real deal about whether we think it's a good deal, a good idea or not a good idea, but we're going to tell you why. But here's a couple of things to keep an eye on. The 6 counties, if you average them all out, we're probably at about 15 to 20% down over the last quarter for the amount of sales. So what we're seeing is less and less sales, right? So that is a function partly because of 2 things. The mortgage rates is a big chunk of that. But it isn't just the mortgage rates. A large part of it, especially for Florida, is the stock market and the crypto market. Because a lot of the people up north, they've been hit 20, 30% on their stock portfolios. Forget about the crypto market, right? And that made them feel flush. So when those markets were really strong, when they decided they were going to go ahead and move to Florida, they felt that the risk isn't so bad, right? They sell their house, make big money up there. They move down here. The stock market's doing great. They're making money with their crypto or whatever. They're selling a house for a very good price up there and buying houses down here for what they think are way undervalued, what they're willing to pay. And then once the stock market and crypto and the mortgage rates all started going up at the same time, all that was converging. We're already seeing a slowdown in Manhattan. Manhattan's talking about being, quote, in a paralysis. What does that mean? Why do I keep bringing up Manhattan? Big chunk of people sell in those kind of areas and then move down here, and we rely on that. And all the realtors, the conventional wisdom is, we're going to be insulated from the bad parts of the market because so many people want to move to Florida. And I agree to that to a certain extent, but it's not a silver bullet that's like, no matter what happens, that's going to happen. If things change, it's going to soften our market too. And I think
though you do have a built-in insulation. The problem is inventory and the interest rates. You have a big pool of people to choose from in this state that would love to buy a house. Mm-hmm. They probably don't have the cash. Yeah. They're probably totally priced out at this point with the interest rates what they are, and again inventory. So again, you have plenty of pool to choose from. It's just about kind of shifting the dynamic with those people, because again, when they can afford these rents, how many times have we said over the years, Jim? Well, if you can afford that rent, you can buy a house. Your mortgage would be cheaper if you could buy a house. But it's that having that. I mean, even 3.5% down is a daunting task for so many people in 2022.
It's a really good point, Johnny. I think when you talk about inventory increasing, like is there less buyer demand, or is there simply less buyer ability to buy? Right.
Period.
So
it's ability.
Yeah, and so if you don't have the cash, if interest rates are pricing you out of certain price points because of debt to income ratios and affordability, then yeah, it's not that the buyers don't want to buy, they can't buy. So that's the affordability crisis, which they've been talking about that at state levels, right? Like or even maybe it's county level, trying to figure that out. I think Palm Beach County recently infused some sort of money for affordability programs in the next 5-10 years, but yeah, that's a tough one. We've seen Pete's actually a really, really good example of like he did this in 2021, right? Sold and bought in last year, Pete.
He did so good.
And he did great, but he also
definitely the right time.
And so it was good timing as far as interest rates, but prices, like he got premium on his home, but he also bought the new home at what we consider it's like buy high, sell high, buy high type thing. But he was doing it because it was right for his family and it was right time, and it actually turns out Pete was sounds like it was a good move business wise, right? Like this new location works for your business, and so I just like that's the philosophy that we have, right? Like you're making these moves when it's right for you and your family. Pete wasn't doing it as a strict investment decision.
Right.
It happened to make a lot of sense investment wise for him, but it's it's tough. Pete had great time. If he was trying to do that same thing this year, I think it would be a lot harder decision to make.
Well, that's another good point, Mike, because when I first started working with you, I think I apologized several times because I asked a lot of questions. But after I had laid out my situation, I basically had one question, and that was, does it make sense? And you took your time, you answered all my questions, and obviously the answer was yes, and that's why I made the move. But getting that information and making the right decision for your family, and getting answers to your questions, for me, that was, above and beyond, 100%.
We are never ultimately making those decisions. Like the homeowner, the family, the consumer, they're the ones making it. But we try to give you guys, and Pete's here as an expert, a contractor expert, so he can give you expertise on that. As when he was the client, it was about, I need information so that I can make a decision. And we talk about that all the time, Johnny. Like you've got to have information so you can make an informed decision. And that's what we do. We give you the information more than anyone else is going to give you. And it's not to give you, what do they call it, Jim? Analysis paralysis.
Paralysis.
In that mode, it's just you got to know this stuff. You got to know numbers. Jim's got it. You have to have a good idea what you can sell for, a good idea of what price range you need to be in when you're buying. What's out there. It's just, that's how we roll. Got to give them the information.
They say that ignorance is bliss, but I will tell you, it is a blissful place. I've been ignorant most of my life. But when you're making these big decisions in life, information is king. It's power. So you can make the right choice for you and your family moving forward. So many times it's going to boil down to dollars and cents. These dollars doesn't make sense. And it's you have to have people you rely on to give you the correct information. That's why I'm here every Saturday morning, well, mostly, for over a decade now, to tell you about FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. It's a .com. You'll find them on Facebook, YouTube, great hubs for information. In fact, on YouTube, you're going to see all kinds of chunk videos that are just informational videos, the information that's valuable for you. And again, you can always have access to the entire team of pros at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. It's your one-stop real estate shop. Know it, use it, share it, change people's lives. Everything from student loan debt. I know we've been in a weird through COVID. It's a lot of this has been out of sight, out of mind for a lot of folks. But you got to be armed with the information about how to come out the right way. Be prepared, especially if you're looking to buy a home. Man, you got to make sure these aren't these little potholes that are going to keep you from being able to close. Finding out late in the deal is not the time. You got to do it early. You got to get with the pros. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. And always you have access when we're live on a Saturday for 2 hours of infotainment. You can pick up your phone and be a part of the show. Ask your question live interactively. If you have that question, I'm sure others do as well. Get the answer with us. 877-927-6969. Jim at the line. Yep. You make the call, we'll take the call. But of course, sometimes the answer is, ooh, that's a great question. We're not totally 100%, but we have the resources, the other members of the team to reach out and get you that answer. Again, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you. Let's roll into questions that I have for Pete. About contracting in general. Okay, so Pete, just a couple of things real quick. What general areas do you cover? And what kind of services do you provide first? Okay, but then I want to get into some stuff just about what's happening, in the contracting world, trying to get jobs done.
Yeah, I cover pretty much all of Palm Beach County. I don't mind traveling. As far as my services, we offer pretty much every phase of home renovation. There's nothing we can't do or don't do. And most of our work is, and especially now since COVID and people have been home, the people that are staying home and wanting to change their homes has just gone through the roof, and kept us very busy. So very thankful for that.
That's what I was going to ask about trends, right? So are you seeing a lot of people right now that have decided not to sell? And since they're not selling, they decided, you know what, I'm going to double down on the house I have. And I don't mean by necessarily making an expansion, but maybe putting on an addition, but just going in there and making it new again and, freshening it up. Are you seeing a lot of that right now?
Yes, definitely. And I think something that has to do with that is maybe we all know, you've mentioned it before about the market changing. And I think people are a little afraid of that, and they're afraid of what the market is going to do, because obviously no one can predict it. And that's where they're kind of making that decision. Maybe we should stick around, stay here, and maybe, put some money into the home and stay where we're at.
Are you seeing, so when they're deciding to make that decision, hey, we're going to put the money into the house and stay, where are they normally putting the money? Like, what are like the top renovations that people are doing? I mean, some of it's going to be obvious, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah, kitchen and bathroom renovations are by far the most popular. Something as simple as a paint job is still very popular. A lot of people want, whether it's interior, exterior, things like that. That's what we do the most.
Can I ask you about the paint job thing? Okay, this is just for like a lot of my sellers. Sometimes they say, should I paint the house or not, right, on the inside before? Sometimes I say yes, sometimes I say no. But let's say the answer would be, yeah, it would really be sharp to go ahead and paint the house, but it's still furnished, right? So how do you handle that as a contractor? So the paintings are still on the wall, the furniture is up against the wall, the bed frame is against the wall, the typical stuff. The dressers are all full of stuff, they're against the wall. How do you handle that, like as that kind of situation?
Well, a lot of people will say, if I'm putting the house on the market, maybe someone's going to come in and they're going to want to change the paint colors anyway. So, I don't want to do it. But as you know, Jim, it's all about presentation, and you want your house to look the best it can when you put it on the market. And you mentioned interior, but let's switch it to exterior for a minute. One of the biggest things people don't realize about exterior paint is it's not just for looks. It also provides protection and waterproofing, And one of the things that I always hear from a lot of people is, well, we want to paint the outside of the house, but we want to wait till hurricane season is over. Well, wait a second. So you want to protect your house after hurricane season? It doesn't make much sense,
Didn't think about that. Yep. Yeah, so that's very interesting about that. And I know you're going to be going right after July 4th weekend. You're working with one of the customers we're going to be working with, and you're going to be working on doing some freshening up on the house in order to put it on the market in Boynton. I think there's going to be an exterior paint job and deck and stuff, and I think an interior paint job I think's coming. And I don't know if I'm sure there'll be a couple other little handyman stuff that needs to be done. But the reason why I recommended they do that on this one is that the house is the house. First of all, in this case, the house is going to be empty, so it's going to make it a little easier. But number two, I felt like the house was a little dark, and I'm told because of the hurricane shutters, but I still get freaked out. Dark rooms are not good when you're trying to sell a house, even if the people like dark rooms after they move in. It's better to have the light come into the house. And sometimes if you can't get enough light to come in, sometimes by picking the correct paint and the correct finish can help a little bit with that. Is that true, Pete?
Absolutely. And you're right. That house, I haven't even seen the inside yet because there's a tenant in the property and we have to wait on that. But the outside, we're completely changing that color pattern, and it's going to look like definitely a completely different house. And I think that's going to make a big difference in the sale. Absolutely.
I'm pretty confident that they're going to get the money back on the, very confident that they're going to get the money back that they are putting into it. And I don't always do that. Sometimes I say it's not worth it. If you've been living in a house a really long time and you're trying to sell it and you're really just trying to move on to the next chapter of your life, it's very hard for me sometimes to tell people to put the money into the house that they don't even want to be at anymore, because there's a lot of time and aggravation and expense. And even though you might have the best intentions, a lot of time the follow through to get the job done turns into a nightmare. And so it's not worth trying to do all that work to try to leverage the money. Sometimes it's better just to say, you know what, we're going to price the house based on the way it is right now. We're going to tell people up front, don't start haggling with me on the inspection, because we priced it this way because of the situation we're in with the condition. So we already took condition into account. You need to know that.
You should also be thinking about the time to get these projects done, right, Jim? You never want to throw something at something like, Pete, you can imagine anything that's going to take permitting or whatever is going to take a lot longer than, say painting the interior. You're talking about changing out windows or redoing bathrooms, right? Some of that stuff is just going to take too long. You might miss the market if you're 3 weeks to get some stuff done to prep the house.
That's another thing too. I'm very nervous about some of the customers we're working with right now, because weeks matter right now. If based on their expectations of what they're trying to achieve, time is of the essence. It's changing that fast, guys. I'm not saying we're going through a crash. I don't want anybody thinking I'm chick little gloom and doom. What we are going through is a correction, a shift. A shift isn't necessarily a bad thing. We've had hyperinflation on house prices for a very long time with very low inventory. That's shifting a little bit. It's okay. It's healthy, right? We might get into an unhealthy period later on down the road. But like what Johnny was talking about with interest rates and stuff before, and days on market and inventory, you got to start somewhere. Just like we started with longer days on market and got to very short days on market, we had to start with incremental shifts in that direction, and it just kept building on itself. What we don't know right now is, are these trends going to continue for 5, 6, 7, 8 months in a row? Or is it going to change, fluctuate just 1 or 2 months and then go up again or go down again and go up again? We don't know that yet. But what we do know is, if you put your house on the market and you overprice it, you are not going to get the action the way that you used to get it. And
I will tell you though, Jim, you mentioned a bunch of variables in the last really 30 minutes. As you talked about, like Manhattan specifically, you talked about out-of-state buyers kind of slowing down because of their portfolios, right? Their investments, crypto. So that starts popping again. All of a sudden, at least based on kind of your assessment, you got this whole, addition of the pool of outside state buyers that are reignited just like that. And that's pure speculative, right? As is everything with the market typically, but that could change next week. I mean, that could change Tuesday.
I agree. And the other thing, and the reason why it isn't just the stock and the crypto, but what happens is the people up in it, I'm using Manhattan specifically because that's the article I was reading about, but this is a trend in other markets that we're moving to Florida, is wealthy markets like Manhattan, right? Is that when they put their house on the market now, they're not getting the multiple offers, the stream of people coming in to buy their house up there.
Well, same with San Francisco, pick a coast. I mean, it's it's the way
all
it is
those
right now.
markets are shifting, and when those markets shift, they're not going to be as hot to come down here. I'm not saying that we're still not going to get it. It's just not going to be at the pace that we've seen over the last year. The pace is going to slow down.
But that was kind of an unusual pace for all these reasons we talked about. I remember people talking like it was a complaint, like, these people coming from the Northeast, and that's the reason the prices went crazy, because they're coming down with cash offers that are $50,000 above appraised value, and they didn't care. And so you would hear the complaints when that was happening, and now we're saying, oh geez, we want them back because that was what's keeping the market moving. So it's always the ebb and flow. It's when you got your ear to the ground, Jim, and you're in the trenches, you see this stuff, right?
And it's interesting too, because through all the market changes over the decade plus of doing this show, like it never stays the same, right? Which is one of the things you got to love about this crew, the constant evolution of riding the waves, learning what's going on in the trenches every day, and being on point. Even for Pete though, in his line of work. So, I mean, you'd have to educate me on it, Pete, but I'm sure there were years even where your work was probably predominantly on more like rehab type things. People that were buying a home, flipping it, right? Getting ready to flip it. Now I'm sure they exist. In fact, I have a buddy who worked with Jim. They sold their grandma's house not long ago. And I think it was bought by a flipper. They're going to put money in. They're going to do well with it. But what percentage of your work right now, Pete, or really in the last year, it was kind of in that realm versus now like real actual homeowners that are investing into their property?
Yeah, that's a great question, Johnny. I mean, in the past, I've worked with a lot of investors flipping property, and that was a pretty steady percentage of my business for a while. And it seems like in the past, probably really about a year and a half, I haven't really heard much from those same investors. It seems like it's more homeowners now, definitely, 100%.
So it just shows, Jim, how everything tied into the real estate market, it is constantly moving, right? You can't get settled into one aspect because you turn around and it's changed.
You got to love it. You got to embrace all of it. If you're in the profession, you're in the profession for all of it. You can't just be in the good times and like the harder times. And I don't even look at it as harder times. I just look at it as changing times. You take different tools out of your toolbox to deal with the market that's happening at that point. And we do have a really full toolbox. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so happy that Pete's here, because I really think that's for some people, fixing up the house and holding tight might be the right answer. And I want to let people know that we think that way too sometimes. And if that's important for you to know, that if you're talking to a realtor or a mortgage company or something about your options and you're thinking that I want to stay put, don't feel like we're going to be pressuring you to do one thing or the other. We're going to try to give you options.
Well,
right?
let me squeeze in a question here, because I know there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, we know we're going to be here. I'd love to do some things to this home, but as is the case for so many people, money, right? The economic aspect is what it's always going to boil down to. So what are their options at this point? So like cash out refi, right? A HELOC, which would be a home equity line of credit. Pete, do you do in-house financing or no?
No. I would refer to a professional like Mike, someone that anybody that asked me about financing, I would tell them, I have a list of people that I would.
So I guess the only other option for those folks would be like their credit cards. But man, at this point, I don't know if that's the best option.
I was going to ask Pete if he does the layaway program.
Yeah.
Well, talking about the contracting part, the first thing I always tell people when they're thinking about putting in a new kitchen, new bathroom, or doing some kind of upgrade, the first thing I ask them is, how old is your roof? Nobody wants to talk about that, but I say that first. Now, this isn't always in Pete's best interest because he's not a roofer. But the first thing I say is, how old is your roof, right? And the reason why I ask that is that it's great to have the brand new kitchen or the upgraded bathrooms or the new flooring, or new paint, whatever you're going to do to the house. But if you ever decided that you needed to sell it, or you want to make sure that your insurance company isn't going to be on your butt raising your rates unexpectedly, uncontrollably out of your, without your knowledge, they're going to raise your rates. And then you have this unexpected cost that you can't control. It's always better to make sure that your roof, you're structurally sound before you start doing the upgrades for the other stuff, because the upgrades for the other stuff will have more value if you are saying, roof 5 years old, roof only 3 years old, and you have the updated kitchen too. It's like bang, bang. There's so few homes on the market like that. So that makes your house super desirable. But if you got the upgraded kitchen and you find out that the roof is 22 years old, right?
No, but then you got a 50 year.
The upgraded kitchen, the people, I'm sorry, what'd you say, Mike?
I said they got a 50-year barrel tile roof. What's the problem?
Yeah. Well, part of the problem is that the insurance companies won't look at it as a 50. They look at it as a 20-year roof, that for that. But the thing is, so make sure you do your structures first. And Pete, you'll put in windows and stuff, right? Impact windows for some people is like a really good structural thing to do, right?
Absolutely. A lot of people don't want to deal with shutters more and more. Impact windows are becoming more and more popular. And Johnny, back to you for a second to that question. I actually did have a client of mine recently, it's about 6 months ago, that had asked me, they were getting ready to put their house on the market. And they basically asked me if I was willing to do the work, and then they would pay me once the house sold. And the first phone call I made was to Jim and told him about the deal and what his thoughts were. And again, getting advice, getting information, So to answer your question, yeah, there are people that are trying to do that. I didn't end up taking that deal. It just didn't work out. But I definitely, that was within the last 6 months.
Well, actually, because I'm part of that Keller Williams Sports and Entertainment Group, that elite division that deals with sports and entertainment athletes. Oh, by the way, I have to make an announcement about that in a second. Because of that, I have now access to a new service where if people need to have the contracting work done for them, but they don't have the money or they want the money to be paid as part of the house sale, I do have a company that'll deal with that. Now, I don't know how good their track record is, stuff like that. I can't vouch for them the way I would vouch for Pete, but I do have a service like that. It's a nationally brand. I don't want to say it on the air right now, but I'll tell you off air, Pete, later. But I do have that service. I don't like it as much. I feel like you don't have as much control. It does cost you because, they're outlaying the money for you, and then they get paid at the closing. And if the house doesn't go the way you want, there might be obligations that you don't want to take on. I think it's much better to pay for it normally. Okay.
I don't even know how that would work once you have a notice of commencement filed, until that work is done, it's going to be hard to get financing approved, right? From a title perspective, right? Because contractors are supposed to open the notice of commencement. While that's open, unless you file, you're supposed to also file that the work was completed with the county, like, once you do that. So I'd be curious how they get around that.
I don't know. I know that it's a national service, and they
they complete the work. Maybe they complete the work before it's sold.
Yeah, and maybe they only do certain type of work. I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to just make two announcements. I forgot because we're coming. We're turning third and going into home plate. So the first thing is that we have an open house today, 4339 Winchester Lane in West Palm Beach. Scott Spainhauer, our team member, is going to be there from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house on a really nice lot, has a detached shed, and the backyard is awesome. It's a great place for entertainment and partying. House is cozy. It's I think it's about 1,000 square feet. And we did have this house under contract, and it fell apart because the buyer didn't have the proper financing because they had some kind of change in their employment. So because of that, we couldn't get the financing through. It wasn't related to Mike. That was a different mortgage company. And the agent needs to be working with Mike. The buyer's agent on that side needs to be working with Mike. So their loss is your opportunity. Scott will be there from 11 to 2, 4339 Winchester Lane in West Palm Beach.
11 to 2. Is that going to be on Facebook?
Yes, it's on Facebook right now. All you got to do is go to Florida Talk Real Estate on our Facebook page. You can click on it, see the photos, the time.
What general area is that?
And a Matterport video, 3D video of the house. Go ahead, Mike.
I said, what general area is that?
That's over by north of Southern Boulevard, probably a mile east of the fairgrounds. North of Southern Boulevard.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
There's a really nice large neighborhood of mostly 1950 homes over there, and this house was fully renovated by that flipper you were talking about, Johnny. This guy Tom that we work with a lot. So Tom went in there and took a 3-1 and turned it into a 3-2, and the house is really nice and it's ready to go. And new appliances, new kitchen, new bathrooms, everything's ready to go. Also wanted to give a shout out. Do you remember back in April, I did a NFL draft for a guy named Antoine Owens. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that was part of my
Antoine Owens. I remember the name.
Yes, Antoine Owens, and he was with Jackson State with Deion Sanders, and we thought he was going to make right at the tail end of the draft, and he just missed out. But Paul Aloisi, the agent that we're working with Player Performance First and Renegade Sports and Entertainment, he went and landed Antoine at the USFL, which is a up-and-coming football league. Well, he's in the national championship today, which is awesome for the USFL. The last regular season game, he's a defensive tackle. The last regular season game, the other team was driving for a touchdown. There was a fumble. Antoine recovered it. A lot of running to get that ball. Was bouncing around. It was one of those plays where the ball was just bouncing all over the place. Nobody could grab it. Antoine got the ball, saved the day for his team. That got him into the playoffs. Now they're playing for the championship today. So cheering on Antoine Owens with the Philadelphia Stars, I think is the name of the group. Oh, yeah. What is it, Johnny? Is it Philadelphia Stars? I got it right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they're playing today, so go cheer on Antoine. I'm hoping he does awesome. He's got great film. We're really thinking he's going to end up in the NFL. Nice. later on this year is what we think is going to happen. So,
Johnny, do you pay attention to USFL? Are you watching these off-season football leagues?
Yeah, I've watched a fair amount. It's football, and when you're a football junkie, like it definitely it itches that little. It scratches the itch a little bit. It's hard to really get into it though, because it doesn't have the rah of the collegiate game, and it doesn't meet the standard for the NFL. So it's kind of like watching Canadian football, where you're like, oh, there's some good guys out here, but it doesn't quite grab you, at least for me. Yeah. There's not a lot of fan base involved. So, you watch through the pandemic some sports where there's nobody there. It's
weird,
hard to get into it, right? So they still kind of have that bare bones aspect. There's not like home games. They play in neutral fields. So yeah, it's okay. I feel like the USFL is kind of the same boat they were in the last time they tried this, where it's like just good. I think their average viewership's like 700,000. So it's okay, just not
That's
great.
Not bad. That's
right. Well, you put a primetime game in for the NFL, they're all 30 million. So night and day difference, right?
What about the is it XFL league?
That was the old WWE league, right?
Oh, that
was bought by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and some investors. I know his wife's involved in it, or his ex-wife's involved in that. So there's some money behind bringing that back, which was always innovative because they tried new things that kind of the NFL adopted, like even the sky cam, the cam that flies around the middle of the field. Yeah. That was all an XFL birth. That the NFL went, oh, we like that. They've taken some things that work.
You remember the scramble for the kickoff ball? Like they would, right? Didn't they start off that way, and then maybe they stopped it, but they put the ball on the 50-yard line?
Like a rugby match. Yeah.
That's what it is. I didn't know about that stuff. That's pretty cool.
Has everyone seen the new Top Gun yet?
No.
I'll see it when it comes out.
I saw it. It was good.
So there's a scene in there where they're at a football scene, kind of like the old volleyball scene from the original, but this is the football scene. But they play with two balls, Johnny. I don't want to do any spoiler, but they call it dogfight football, and so it's offense and defense at the same time, which I thought was amazing. I want to see that.
That sounds fun, actually. That sounds like a concussion city, is what it sounds.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's like King of the Hill style, right? Like you just like everyone's trying to cream everybody else, but also
it's just hitting. Score. Like it sounds like it's just hitting. Yeah.
Hey Pete, getting back to the contracting stuff for a little bit. When you're doing the kitchens today, is there any kind of trends that you're noticing?
For Micah.
From Micah. Colors are actually starting to make a big comeback. I've recently done some kitchens, usually white cedar shake are very popular cabinets, but recently done some kitchens where dark blue cabinets are coming in. We've also done some kitchens where we've actually mixed the white cedar shake with the dark blue color. So in other words, white upper cabinets and dark blue on the base, which is a nice feature. There's many tones of grays. So I'm seeing those trends start to come back where I think people were a little afraid to kind of play with colors before, and they wanted to be just standard. And now that, I see people starting to be a little more creative.
Does that include the gold faucets?
I haven't seen many gold faucets. Gold, I can't really remember the last time I've gone into a house and seen gold fixtures. I think
that's what I'm visualizing. The white and the navy blue or the dark blue, and then the gold fixtures.
Yeah.
I had to pull a faucet out of my master bath last night. I tried to. First time I ever took a faucet apart, I had no idea there were cartridges in each side of the handle. Total education.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh well, I got a leak. I'll replace the cartridges. Didn't fix the leak, so I got to replace the faucet. And now you got me thinking gold, Mike. Can I get that at Home Depot?
There you go.
Bring it back. Bring the trend back, Johnny.
Yes.
Flooring. Okay, I need to ask you about flooring. Okay,
Sure.
So let's say you're going into somebody's house and it has in the common area it has really dated tile. Okay. And then carpeting in the bedrooms. And let's just say there might be value. The carpeting's so bad that just leaving it in there is not really an option. But if you rip it out and leave it concrete only, sometimes people can't get financing for that, right, Mike? If you have concrete floor?
I think it depends on if it's like unfinished concrete.
Yeah, I'm talking about like somebody rips it off, you still got the tack strips there.
Oh no, yeah, that's generally. I mean, you could do that on a conventional loan, I suppose, but generally not a good idea.
Yeah, so you lose out on some financing opportunities, some buyers that have different types of financing. So what would be
people doing that? They're leaving bare concrete floors?
Yeah, sometimes, Mike, the carpeting is so disgusting or so shot or stinky that it's better just to pull it out and just have the concrete floor, than it is to have the smelly room, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So my question is, Pete, what would be, other than carpeting, what would be the most cost-effective type of flooring, since you've got tile in some areas and then you've got the carpeting ripped out in the other ones? If you wanted to make a uniform floor, maybe you wouldn't, but what would be a cost-effective way to do that? Because somebody's doing it just to sell the house.
Yeah,
they want to have decent product, but they don't want to go Taj Mahal because they're not going to be living there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously every different project depends on the budget, but for what you're describing, something like that, LVP, luxury vinyl planking, it's come a long way. It's very durable these days. They actually call it waterproof now. I don't know if I'd actually fully call it waterproof. If you spilled something on the floor and you wiped it up fairly quickly, yes, it's going to be waterproof. But if you had a leak in your house and you were gone for 3 days, for example, and there was a pool of water on your floor, I don't think it would withstand that. But for the quality of the product and also price wise, to have a uniform floor, like you're saying, because in a lot of those cases, you can go across the existing tile depending on what kind of condition that is in. You may have to chip it out. Again, it all depends on the scenario. And there also might be a level difference now between the rooms.
I was going to ask about
the carpet, so you can get around that as well. So I would suggest for that particular scenario, probably LVP, especially because there's so many choices out there.
Yeah, luxury. I'm not familiar with luxury vinyl planking because it really wasn't available. I don't think it when I used to flip homes, so I never used it. Is it a floating floor? Do you glue it down? Like how do you apply it?
There are different variations of it. Some of it is glued. The most popular is the floating. It's locking, tongue and groove, locks together. Some of it actually requires an underlay material first. Others actually have the underlay backing already on it. But again, that all depends on the specific application and where it's going to suggest the best product for it.
But that would be much easier labor-wise and mess-wise and time-wise compared to like doing retiling the whole house.
Oh, right? Absolutely. Like I said, especially if it's the right fit scenario where you can lay over the existing tile. I mean, you're saving a ton of time and labor chipping up that tile and then laying new tile. It's obviously much faster to lay that planking than it would to actually make the cuts and lay tile. So yes, you're 100% right.
Has the LVP completely replaced like laminate flooring, or can you still do laminate flooring?
You can get it, but to answer your question, yes, it's kind of pushing it out.
Wow, that's pretty wild. Towards that. I remember when I put laminate flooring, I think it was like 97, and mine, I got it from France back then, and it was good for, what did they say? They said it was good for small airports and convenience stores and movie theaters. So I got commercial grade, right? Because I had a lab and we used to have them go swimming all the time, and I wanted something that was kind of water resistant. So that was a big thing to me. That stuff lasted forever. It was awesome. And there would be puddles on the floor. You know how a lab is, Pete, because you have one. Yeah. So he goes to the water, he shakes, and all the water.
Whoa. Is that everybody? It's just you and me, Pete, now?
I guess so. What happened?
Jimothy, you there?
I'm here. Yep.
Oh, wow. I don't know. Jim and Johnny must have lost power. Johnny went into the dark mode. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like a shadow.
But so I'm thinking, like in my experience, that laminate floor was never really water. I wouldn't even call it water resistant, right? Like, as you could.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's different levels of every type of flooring, even with the LVP and back to the laminate. There's a reason that, you can go out and you can buy a product that's 99 cents a square foot, and you can buy a similar product that's $4 a square foot. So it all depends on the specific product that you're buying to answer that question, because there's so many different levels of it. But when it first came out, laminate wasn't very durable, and that's the reason why I think they switched to the LVP. And
yeah, are the is carpet still in, or are people really replacing carpet with a hardwood style or a tile type finish?
Yeah, that's about the only thing I don't do. Old football injury, my knees can't take the stretcher. I don't do carpet, but honestly, I used to get a lot of calls for it, and now I don't really see much of that anymore. People are kind of phasing out, unless it's an area like a staircase, for example. You can tile a staircase, and you can even put this LVP product over a staircase, but it's much cheaper and easier and labor-wise, obviously, to lay carpet. So scenarios like that, you're still going to see carpet coming in. But I think that's kind of fading out. Again, it depends on the product. It depends on the customer. It depends on their preference, their lifestyle. Jim mentioned dogs, and, who's going to be in and out of the house. That all comes into play when you're picking out your flooring. And, Mike, something else I wanted to touch base on, because you kind of mentioned it earlier as far as timing on projects. What I would say, my advice to anybody out there that's thinking about doing a renovation, what I try to suggest to my customers, like, for example, we all know it's kind of difficult to get materials these days, and it depends on the day and the time, and certain materials are easier to get than others. But if you're thinking about starting a project, say a bathroom renovation, for example, what I suggest to my customers is have everything there before you start the project. Don't rip your bathroom apart and then go look for a vanity and then go try to find the toilet you want and then go pick out your tile. The suggestion I make, and especially because it's more and more difficult to get materials these days, is plan the project, make a material list, have everything here before you break ground and start doing the demolition. That's what I recommend to my clients and anyone else who's thinking about, doing renovation. That's pretty important with the, again, having to slow down and getting materials these days.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably super important. Like, especially if you're putting something out of commission, right? Like a bathroom. If you got two bathrooms, how long are you going to go down to one bathroom? Well, you want that to be as quick as possible. And so it'd be nice, like, I'm sure you're like, hey, listen, these materials you wanted is going to take 3 weeks to get them in, right? Or this cabinet that you wanted, it's going to take a month to get it in. So don't, of course, you could always get that call where they're like, hey, I demoed my bathroom. Now I need some help. Can you come finish it up?
I've gotten a few of those. And then we also get changes halfway through it. Well, I know we said we were going to do this, but now we're going to do this. Well, we can't get those materials, like you said, for 2 more weeks. So you're not going to have a bathroom for 2 more weeks, so you also got to consider that.
So tell me about the origin of the Handyman services name. Is this something you started kind of as like a side gig back when you were getting rolling?
I've been in construction most of my life. I was in the union for a little while, local 806 out of Manhattan. I used to work on bridges. Matter of fact, you name any bridge in New York City, and I've probably worked on it. Tappan Zee, Ferenzano, GW.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, many years. So I miss it. I enjoyed it for sure. But, so I have a pretty good background in both commercial and residential because, like I said, I was in the union for many years, and I've always been around construction my whole life. It's just something I enjoy doing. I enjoy doing the work. I enjoy creating the designs. And, at the end of the day, I'm one of these guys that really takes pride in the before and after, of what we did.
Did you tell me one time did you do window stuff?
Yes, when I first moved down here, exactly, because I wanted to, after leaving bridges, I wanted to find a way to get back up in the air. So I actually started a window cleaning business, which was the first thing I did when I moved down here. And it took off. It was great. I had probably 90 regular accounts within a 6-month period of starting up.
Commercial buildings?
Yes, a lot of commercial buildings, a lot of health clubs, hair salons, things like that, But I got to be honest, to this day, I still see squeegees in my nightmares. I don't know what it is, but I just don't ever want to touch another squeegee again. So
you said you wanted to get back up in the air. I can't imagine. You're talking about those big things that go down the sides of the buildings, and you're like, I don't think I ever want. I've seen one of those blowing in a windstorm. I'm like, no thanks. That's not.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to take bets on guys when we worked on the bridge because it's either something you can do or you can't. There's no in between. So we would get a new guy on the job, and actually, I got $50 on 9 o'clock before the guy would freak out and he's had enough. So
not cut out for that work. Well, look at this. We got Jimmy and Johnny back. Hey, boys,
welcome back.
Yeah,
guys.
Sorry guys, I'm the master. I thought, and my computer died, and I'm back. But I know what Pete was talking about because I have a tremendous fear of heights. So I would have been the 850 guy, not the 915 guy.
You're like, wait, what's this job? We're working on what bridge? No, thanks. It's not completed? Nah, I'm out.
I remember one time my dad left me on a job site with his foreman, and they had me going on to 2 stories up, where it was just cinder block because it was one of those warehouses places. So it was like a 2-story cinder block wall and then just the metal trusses with the metal roof on top of it, right, for a storage center or something. So I had to go up there and take all the forming boards off the top because they had just capped the top. And that meant I had to go up on this rickety ladder, stand on the 2x4s, stand on the cinder block, use crowbar and pry off the form boards for the concrete that had been dried. And it had those C-clamps, what I'm talking about, Pete, with the big C-clamps, the metal clamps or U-clamps that they put on either side of the board. Oh my God. I couldn't even get up to stand on the cinder block to try to use the tools. I kept trying to get up there and I was like, I'm not doing this. So I climbed down the ladder and I drove home. And my dad called me like 3 hours later. I was a teenager, and he's like, Jimmy, how come you're not at the job site? Is everything okay? I've been calling hospitals and everything because I wouldn't pick up the phone because I was embarrassed. And I'm like, Dad, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't handle the height. So I've been through that. I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did that.
Weaknesses. Yeah, that's right.
But sorry about the delay on everything, guys. I think we got a couple minutes left, right? I'm so discombobulated because of the thing.
3-4 minutes, something like that. Yeah.
So the other thing I'm wondering about though is like if you were to do the flooring and you were trying to do the upgrade, we were talking about luxury vinyl plank flooring, and you were trying to do the upgrade in order to do, to sell the house. Mm-hmm. What kind of time frame? Let's say it's a 1,500 square foot 3-2. Right? Mm-hmm. And you're not doing the kitchen because usually you don't want to put luxury vinyl planking in the kitchen, right? Mm-hmm. Do you want to do that normally?
You could, and there are people that do it because, again, it's come a long way, and they actually call it waterproof now. So you actually could. I would steer away from putting it in a bathroom. I probably wouldn't go that far, but some people actually do put it in bathrooms as well. But you can lay it in the kitchen.
How long do you think a job like that would take, a 1,500 square foot?
Well, it depends, because again, it depends on what kind of prep work. As I mentioned before, whether you have tile that has to be chipped up or not, or if you're going over top of it. Do you have level differences to where you pulled up the carpet and there's a different level? So it all depends on the prep work itself. But actually laying the floor goes very fast. As I mentioned, it's tongue and groove, and you can do an average size room in one day. To give you an idea, like an average 10 by 12 bedroom can certainly be laid in one day. And then of course you got to come back and put your baseboard in, but just doing the flooring itself, it goes very quickly with that product for sure.
That's another tip I want to give homeowners if they're thinking about trying to do repairs to the house to sell it. Okay. Paint job. 1 minute, Johnny. Okay, because everything's really slow. Okay, well, we're not going to get into the paint job stuff. We're going to have Pete come back, okay? Because paint job's a big thing with me. People think that they could just paint the thing and they don't do any wall prep and it looks like not good, even though it's been painted. But
the part about paint work is prep work. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. I hope everybody has an awesome happy 4th of July. I know Mike is kidless this weekend, so you're going to enjoy it?
Just doing house stuff. Normal weekend.
Yeah? Cool.
Are you going to be blowing anything up, Mike?
I think one, Jim says kidless, but the 21-year-old is around it, so I think he got some fireworks. He might have some friends over. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
excellent.
That's cool.
Well, if you are going to be out enjoying the fireworks, doing your own displays, please be responsible with those things. We want to make sure you have as many digits at the end of the festivities as you began with. And by the way, that's just it's just inherently going to happen. People are going to get a little overzealous. Please be the responsible one of the group. Be like, it's not a great idea. Let's not do that. Try to keep yourself from having to go to the ER, or at least go visit somebody in the ER this weekend. But enjoy the heck out of the holiday, and celebrate the independence of our nation 246 years ago. We got big thanks going to Pete Walsh for being with us on a Saturday. Remember, Florida Talk Real Estate is a one-stop real estate shop. You can reach out to the entire team, like guys like Pete Walsh. Thank you for being with us on a Saturday, my friend. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thanks again, everyone. Have a good day.
And Mike Rauch, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm, please enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you. Happy 4th, everybody.
Jimmy D, I hope you have an awesome weekend too, my friend.
Stay dry, be happy, be healthy.
That's exactly right. Happy is a choice. Jimothy is going to stick around and be producer extraordinaire for the next 4 hours. You got the locker room. Joe and Greek are going to be joining Jimothy, and we'll be back at it next Saturday. 2 hours of infotainment every single Saturday. It's 9 to 11, and it's right here on Real Radio.